Hi guys, I've been requested to do a bit of a sort of explaining tutorial as to how to get into the apLOCKalypse mega game. So where you would start is you would look just below this video and get a link to the Discord if you're not already on it. Once you're on the Discord, once you've got it all set up, you'll jump into the general out of character channel. People will probably then bombard you with a list of hellos and hi, how are you? Um, Say hello. Don't worry too much about any of that just yet. Pop onto the channel called Start Here, and it'll give you a list of things to get done. So on the step one of that is watch this video. Really simple. Your second step is getting set up. So in your situation, what I would now do is go on to getting set up, and there is a couple of options that you can take. If you want a bit of a interesting, don't know what I want to choose, let's just see what happens. We have something called the random setup, which you just request in that channel. Sorry, not in that channel, in the factions channel, which we'll get to in a minute. And then I will pick you out 3 surpluses and 2 needs. And we'll get to what that means in a bit. Alternatively, you can pick a prefix and a suffix for your faction, just to make things a bit easier for you. Basically, we've knocked up a couple. So, for example, vault dwelling, vehicle riding, sharecropping, military-minded, settlement building, shadow lurking, kiss stealing son of a gun. Nope, sorry, that's Ric Flair. Once you've chosen a prefix, you then go on to choose a suffix, which gives a bit more definition from one of those things. So, for example, you might be an expert, a trader, a lawbringer, a scientist, a builder, a hoarder, a doctor, a pioneer, a politician, a weirdo, a leader, or a farmer. Now, that's not to say that you're playing one specific character. You're playing a faction, a small group. Say, for example, the Brotherhood of Steel, or the Vault Dwellers, or the White Glove Society from New Vegas. You can mix and match these two, and it'll give you a list of surpluses and needs. Your surpluses and needs exist as a way to promote role-playing and as a sort of behind-the-scenes mechanic for getting things done. Each faction, each player, generally has what most factions would have to survive. So basic amounts of food, basic amounts of water, a small amount of weaponry, etc., etc. Now, if a faction doesn't have those things, they're described as having a need. So, for example, the Vault 183 crew, which is my sample group that I've created in the Getting Started section, just to explain how things work. They are vault dwelling, so they have a surplus in defenses and safety, and they have a need of crops. So obviously, because they're underground, they can't really do a lot of growing. The need of crops represents the fact they don't have fresh food available to them. Now, the surpluses, on the other hand, defenses and safety, represent things that they have a lot of. You know, they're never going to have to worry about not having proper defenses. You know, heavily armored vault, for example, or their surplus of safety, which in this instance is represented by the fact that no one knows where they are because they're, hidden in a vault. I would then go on to choose a suffix. So, for example, I went with weirdo. So the Vault 183 group, they're very isolated. They're in an experimental scientific bunker underneath train tunnels. And what they get from being weirdos is surplus rare materials. So rare materials could be things like fissionable materials, cybernetics, for example, strange mutant animals that they have to command. And what they need is barter goods. They don't have a lot to trade with. All of their entire society is just built around being very self-sufficient. Once you've chose those two, give your faction a bit of a filling out, some story that goes with it. So, for example, like I said, the Vault 183 guys, when they heard that the apocalypse was coming, retreated into these scientific bunkers underneath the train networks, where they lived whilst the whole point of the apocalypse was going on. And that's basically what you need for setting up your faction. Just a good idea of what you want to play and to have it written down. Once you've made your faction, or once you've decided on your faction, go to the factions channel and post it. Doesn't have to be massive, just a paragraph, what needs you have, what surpluses you have, just to make it a bit easier for other people to understand what's being played. And most importantly, so I know what you're playing. After you've done that, I will make you a channel which no one else will be able to see except for me and you. So you'll be able to make a post in there and no one else will see it. You have 3 sections: turn folder, map, and surpluses and needs. Turn folder, when a new video comes out, you're then going to spend some time chatting with the other players and decide what you're actually going to do. So, for example, after the first video, which there is a link to in the server, my Vault Dwellers decided that they were going to, on turn 1, the Vault 183 crew are heading out into the city to look for the source of the music that's keeping the city awake at night. Using the safety provided to us by the underground tunnels we're connected to, the crew are going to be mostly travelling underground and popping up to try and find the spot. We've been promised support by the Gunk Raiders, so we'll be working in tandem with them and acting as guides for them in the tunnel. In order to help the Raiders start their open warfare wander against the flail snails wandering the streets of the city looking for settlements, we'll be contributing rare materials needed for repowering the battlesuits they found in return for help with hunting down the music. So as you can see, it's just there's very few actual mechanics that players need to really worry about. The only thing that you really need to do is, after every video comes out, have a chat with players about what you want to do, either as a community or a small group within that community, and then post a paragraph of description. Fundamentally, the narrative is way more important than anything else. Yeah, don't worry about how things work. Come up with an idea. If I think it's a good idea, you'll get a bonus. If I think it's a terrible idea, you'll get a penalty. But fundamentally, it's a very simple dice roll system based on the Powered by the Apocalypse rules. Once you've done that, you just wait for the next video to come out, really. It's a great opportunity to say, yeah, I've got down to do this. You'll get in contact with some other players, just... The whole thing of this mega game is interaction, betraying people, making alliances. Later on in the game, we're going to start opening up things called wonders, which are big changes in the wasteland. Things like public libraries and stuff like that. For the most part, games that I've run like this in the past, occasionally the mechanics do change. I will keep people updated if that does happen. Mostly I'll be winging it, because fundamentally I wanted a nice narrative story that we could all take part in. So that's pretty much all you need to know to get started. Like I said, have a think about some costume maybe. A lot of people have been finding that making a introductory video for themselves and posting it in a channel that we have called Contact Requests has been helpful. It's been giving people a good starting point to get in contact with you. We also have a channel called Contact Details, which you can use to let people know stuff outside of Discord that you can get in contact with. Discord itself does actually come with video call capabilities, which is quite handy. We've had people getting in costume for their video calls, just finding different parts of their house to sit in, or maybe in their back garden. People have been dressing in costume. I've heard that one of my players has taken to taunting other players by eating fresh vegetables in front of them in the middle of calls, which is quite fun. Just, embody a character. The characters that you're playing, I think we've even got one player who's so far had 3 characters within his faction. It's been one turn. You're generally representing important people in these factions, whether that's one person, multiple people. Crack on. There's one player who half of their conversations are just in pre-recorded videos, because the character that's being represented doesn't talk to people. There's lots of different ways that we can do this. It's just a great, it's nice to see the way that people are choosing to interact. That's pretty much everything. So, yeah, like I said, link below for Discord, and we can just crack on and get on ahead with things. Have a nice one. See you in the wasteland.